Hiragana, katakana, kanji, and now pitch accent? It's too much. I know pitch accent is important, so I'm trying to learn it, but it's so difficult. I heard that even if you get pitch accent wrong, people can still understand you. Do I really need to study it? I made this video for those of you who might think this way. Minasan konnichiwa. I'm Fumi from Speak Japanese Naturally. Some people who feel uncomfortable with pitch accent may be afraid of making mistakes, or they may be afraid that pitch accent takes too much time to learn. When something makes you feel that way, developing a thorough understanding of it is the first step to overcoming that fear. So today, I'd like to help you understand what pitch accent actually does. I run a Japanese learning website with over 1,000 members. There, I teach Japanese pronunciation, rhythm, pitch accent, and intonation. For natural pronunciation, there are many important aspects besides pitch accent, such as rhythm and intonation. The rhythm includes double consonants and double vowels, or long vowels. From the perspective of teaching this comprehensively, I'd like to talk to you today about the role of pitch accent. I'm sure that some of you or many of you know that pitch accent changes the meaning of words like ame and ame. Ame means rain and ame means candy. Hashi means chopsticks and hashi means bridge. That is true, but it's just a superficial function of pitch accent. There's more to it than that. By learning more about this, you can gain a detailed understanding of pitch accent and then make an informed decision whether it's worth it for you to study. If you do decide you would like to learn it, the learning methods I will suggest aren't too difficult. So please watch it until the end. This video is not about the rules and patterns of pitch accent. There are 2 basic rules and 4 patterns in pitch accent. If we want to study these fundamentals, please watch this video. Before we get into the main topic, let me explain the basics for those who are wondering what exactly is pitch accent. Pitch accent in Japanese is equivalent to stress accent in English. Have you heard of stress accent? English uses stress accent. With stress accent, for example, when you say, "Do you have a cat?" stress is placed on have and cat. Stressed syllables are pronounced stronger, higher, and longer. One thing to note is that stress is placed even when you're not emphasizing anything. Stress is always placed somewhere. Japanese pitch accent corresponds to this English stress accent. Pitch accent is the Japanese equivalent of the English stress accent. Instead of saying a part of a word strongly, Japanese changes the pitch. We feel the biggest change in pitch when going from a high pitch to a low pitch within a word. So we sometimes say that's where the accent nucleus is. For example, for the word neko, some describes the accent nucleus as being at ne, while others say ne is high and ko is low. Either way, Japanese pitch accent is expressed by high or low pitch. In a sentence, neko o katte imasu ka? If nothing is particularly emphasized, it sounds like this: neko o katte imasu ka? The pitch accent of neko is high and low. And for katte imasu ka, ka is high. So while the intonation is gradually descending, there are still high and low part in each word. If English is like this, then the Japanese is like this. I'll briefly explain the difference from tonal languages, such as Chinese, Thai, and Vietnamese. Each character usually represents one syllable with its own tone. The tone typically stays the same even when the character is used in different words. For example, 学 in 大学 and in 学习. So these are 2 different words, but the tone of 学 remains the same second tone. But in Japanese, as in the earlier example of ame and ame, a is sometimes high and it's sometimes low. It changes depending on which word it appears in. So it's different from tonal languages. To summarize, Japanese uses pitch accent. This means each part of a word is pronounced with either a high pitch or low pitch. Now let's discuss the main topic, the functions of pitch accent. There are two. The first is the word distinguish function, and the second is the function of distinguishing breaks in meaning. The first one's examples are ame, ame, and hashi, hashi. Ame means rain, and ame means candy. Hashi means chopsticks, and hashi means bridge. The meaning changes depending on which part you say with a high pitch. By the way, what I teach is the accent of standard Japanese, which is used in Tokyo and surrounding areas, which is also used in most Japanese textbooks. Japan has many dialects, and each dialect has its own set of accents, so the standard Japanese accent rules don't apply to them. Now, these distinctions like ame and ame are important, but honestly, they can often be understood from context. For example, if you say 雨が降ってきた with the candies accent, people will understand you because there's no way that candies are falling from the sky. It can be understood from context. Also, there aren't many words that change meaning when you change the accent. Most of the time, if you say a word with a different accent, it still means the same thing. For example, when you say 言葉, if you say it like 言葉 or 言葉, the meaning is the same. It still means word, so the meaning doesn't change. Therefore, what's actually important for communication is the second function, the function of distinguish breaks in meaning. Let's think about this sentence. If I say it like 毎日新聞を読みます, it means I read a newspaper every day. And when I say it like 毎日新聞を読みます, it means I read the 毎日新聞, the 毎日 newspaper. The difference in meaning comes from their pitch accents. When I say 毎日新聞, a listener can tell that they are two different words. And when I say 毎日新聞, a listener can tell it's one word. Thus, it means the name of a newspaper. I'm not going to go into details, but because of pitch accent, we can tell the difference in meaning. However, it's important to note that this type of example, where pitch accent alone changes the meaning of a phrase, is rare. For most cases, there isn't another phrase that looks exactly the same but has a different meaning just because of pitch accent. Let's look at another example to understand this better. If you say 東京大学に行ってます, I go to Tokyo University, as 東京大学に行ってます. Here's a possible reaction of a listener. 今日 sounds like 今日 today. But と doesn't make any sense. But you said 大学, so it must be related to 大学. Ah, 東京大学. I see. So it might take some time for listener to figure out. To summarize, I think this function of pitch accent, showing where words break, might play a more important role than simply distinguishing between individual words such as ame and ame. What we can learn from this is that pitch accent plays an important role in helping listeners to understand sentences. So, what should we do? Here's my suggestion. First, be aware that Japanese uses pitch accent, and using the proper accent will make you easier for Japanese people to understand. Just this awareness can make a difference. And when you learn new words, try to learn the pitch accent along with them if you can. Otherwise, you will have to relearn it, and many people say it's much harder. But I think that it's quite difficult to memorize the pitch accent for all the words you learn. In that case, you can limit the words that you remember along with the pitch accent. I often recommend starting with the pitch accent of the words you frequently use or that you want to use. Every one of you has your own interests, and the situation you are in is different from person to another. So the words that you'll need or want to use will be different. So you can start by learning the pitch accent of words that you use most frequently or you want to use. One challenging aspect of remembering pitch accent is that Japanese verbs and adjectives change forms when they conjugate. This means the accent can change depending on which form you're using. If you're interested in how verbs change their pitch accents, please watch this video. But as you'll see if you watch this video, it's quite painful to remember the pitch accent for each conjugation one by one. So what should we do? I suggest immersion. Immersion is effective. By listening a lot, you naturally absorb pitch accent into your body. At the time, shadowing is even more effective. Language is often compared to sports, and I strongly agree with that. I feel like we use different muscles in our mouth and tongue when we speak different languages. So it's important to say words and sentences out loud while listening. For those who want to use visuals, I recommend this Migaku, a browser extension you can use while watching Netflix, YouTube, Rakuten Viki, and Disney+. You can see pitch accent color-coded. I'm sure it's very helpful. I'll put the link in the description. To summarize, when learning new words, try to memorize their accents. If this feels overwhelming, start with words you frequently use. Then learn through immersion. Immersion is actually essential for acquiring natural speech. As I mentioned earlier, natural speech isn't just about pitch accent. Rhythm and intonation are also important. You'll naturally pick up these aspects when you're listening to Japanese contents. Having knowledge about Japanese sound features will make your immersion more effective than just listening randomly. It gives you specific things to listen for and notice. I offer a subscription course that covers Japanese phonetics, including Japanese pronunciation, rhythm, pitch accent, and intonation. I'll add the link in the description down below. This knowledge will help you internalize these aspects as you immerse yourself in Japanese contents. Another option is not to study pitch accent at all. It's okay not to study it if you don't want to or if you feel overwhelmed. To continue learning Japanese is more important. Either way, I recommend immersion. I put out walk and talk videos on this channel, aiming for them to be a first step for you to start immersion. I use kanji with furigana in those videos. I deliberately use kanji so that even if you can't read it yet, you can get used to kanji before you can read it by naturally seeing it many times. There are many, so please try using them. Again, if you don't want to study pitch accent, that's totally fine. Don't worry, people will understand you. Just keep in mind that pitch accent exists. Please remember, pitch accent isn't there to make your life difficult. It's quite the opposite. Pitch accent exists to help you be understood by listeners. Now I'm going to share something very Japanese with you. Have you heard of the word kotodama? Okay, please look at this kanji. This means word and this means spirit. So kotodama refers to the spiritual power that the words have. In Japanese culture, it's kind of believed that when you say something, it can become real or come true. That's why you should avoid saying negative things, especially about important matters. What you say can come back and affect you. I think there's some truth to this because your brain is always listening to what you say. For instance, if you keep saying learning pitch accent is meaningless or useless, that idea becomes deeply stuck in your mind. As a result, your brain might resist in learning pitch accent. Words have power, so be careful with them. Or better yet, use them positively. You could say learning pitch accent is useful for me. Of course, you don't have to lie, but it might help to avoid negative self-talk about pitch accent or any other aspects of language learning. I understand it's hard to learn pitch accent when there's already so much to learn, especially at the beginner's stage. It depends on your individual goals and how fluent you want to become in Japanese. If you just want to be able to have a simple, short conversations when you come to Japan, pitch accent might be a low priority. However, if you want to speak fluently, pitch accent is one of the important points of fluency. Consciously incorporating pitch accent at some stage will help you a lot. What are your goals? There are various goals, like being able to do some shopping while traveling in Japan, being able to talk with Japanese friends, being able to use it without problems at work. Or maybe you just want to sound authentic. I'd like to know about your goals. Please let me know in the comments. I always read all the comments. They are very encouraging. Here's the comment I want to share with you today. This is from Rich-san. Wow, this is a very original and helpful concept. I have been struggling with word order and sentence construction for a long time. At some point, I started thinking about it in a similar way that an English speaker sets up a joke, lay out the background and set up the scene, and then pay it off with the punchline. This helps, but your concept of zooming in versus out really crystallizes the concept in a more elegant and useful way. What a game changer! I am so grateful to be one of your students. 感謝してもしきれません。次の動画を楽しみにしています。Thank you, Rich-san. Thank you for all these beautiful words like crystallize the concept, elegant and game changer. Such compliments. Thank you, and thank you always for your support. I got a lot of comments for this video. Most of them said that zooming in and out concept was new to them, which made me glad that I made this video. Two of them pointed out the same sentence saying my wording was strange. That's what my Japanese brain said. It's really hard to create another language brain. But let's not give up and continue learning. The links to Migaku, a browser extension for immersion, and my subscription course are in the description. I recently added Premium Plan, which is a yearly subscription which includes 2 private sessions with me. As it includes private sessions, spots are limited, so please check it out sooner if you're interested. That's all for today. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. See you in the next video. またね